I said this codyko situation is crazy.
Codyko is a YouTuber that probably doesn't need an introduction. I don't need to read the Wikipedia article explaining to you who he is and lore dumping. I'm sure most
I don't know who he
of
is.
you are at least loosely familiar with his content. He's been very large on the platform for years now. And recently, some disturbing allegations have come out against him. Now, the allegations against him aren't exactly brand new. They're not, fresh off the battle bus, hot drop in here out of nowhere. They've actually existed for a little while now, but never actually received a lot of coverage or a lot of attention. Kind of just been sidelined with people not knowing about it or not talking about it until yesterday when another YouTuber named DAngeloWallace gave some amazing coverage breaking down the entire situation here and going over everything that codyko is accused of.
Someone has been alleging for years now that you, one of the largest commentary creators on YouTube, knowingly committed a crime against her when she was a minor. But YouTubers and viewers alike are ignoring and discrediting these allegations solely because the person making them happens to be an unlikable woman online, Tana Mojo.
Yikes. Yeah, that's some pretty awful right there. That's a huge allegation that actually has a lot of evidence backing it up, which DAngeloWallace covers in great detail in this video. It's not some imaginary nothing burger that someone squeaked out between their butt cheeks to try and ruin codyko. It's a serious accusation that appears to have a lot of evidence about it.
I'm not here to accuse you of committing a crime in this video because I can't do that based on someone else's allegations. Nobody can definitively take these allegations as proof, but at the same time, they should still be looked at and not treated as an open secret and swept under the rug like you've been doing for so many years now.
I think that's a great point. Even though these are still allegations with nothing that's been proven, since there is so much supporting evidence around the claims, it definitely is something that needs to be examined thoroughly because it is a huge deal.
And speaking of this podcast, about a month ago, she hosted a live episode in front of an audience, and the conversation turned to you.
Who's the smallest you've ever had sex with?
Oh my god, no one look at me, codyko. I can say that. I was literally 17. I can say that.
This clip started making the rounds and people were understandably perturbed because if Tana Mojo was 17, you would have been 25. So people started speculating and Tana decided to set the record straight.
I hooked up with codyko when I was 17 and he was 25.
I'm going to go ahead and break down these numbers here because it seems like people are starting to struggle with math, like teriology starting to pop off with 1 × 1 = 2 and all of that. I'm just going to go ahead and explain this. 17
is there malicious intent or
is less than 18.
Wow, what a breathtaking.
Thus, that is below the age of consent and is a crime. And I already have seen comments on this situation about 17, who gives a f? That's basically 18 anyway. And it's this same brain dead, concerning mentality, like your hard drive needs to be investigated type that we saw with Dr. Disrespect, where they're like, no one should really care that Dr. Disrespect.
I think Dr. Disrespect is 35, no?
Was talking inappropriately with a 17-year-old, even though, once again, you absolute Fro-Magnon, there is no evidence that Dr. Disrespect ever talked to a 17-year-old. Not even he said that. It had only ever been stated as a minor. Everyone around Dr. Disrespect
it's not confirmed,
never mentioned 17. It's actual
she could be 9.
Delusional Fantasyland Narnia type shit where people are trying to defend him by saying it was actually a 17-year-old 364 days old, which is absolute barnacles. Like, that's a load of fish paste. And even still, it's bad. I don't know how we've devolved so much where all of a sudden 17 is now...
It's bad, but it's not that bad. I mean, 17 and 25.
Something people try and justify. So, like, in this case right here, you'll have some drooling, stinky, bumbling morons in the comments.
Unless there's some coercion or something.
Comments saying how it's not a big deal because
grooming or something.
17 shouldn't be an issue. Like, age of consent over in this region is actually 16, so really, he waited till she was old. Like, it's craziness. It's actually craziness. It is a crime. It is a minor. Still, it's bad. Like, I don't know why that needs to be explained all of a sudden. Now, something DAngeloWallace does make a point of here is pointing out that Tana Mojo is not well liked. I'm sure if you've been on YouTube for any length of time, you've heard her name and seen a lot of less than stellar things about her. She has a history
like some convention or something.
Of lying and putting on a lot of bad stuff and bad behavior. However, when it comes to this claim, this doesn't appear to be something that she's just lying about for clout to try and elevate her platform on the back of codyko's good name or anything like that. This is a story that's been told even a few years in the past about this situation here. So this isn't something that she just pulled out of thin air. This is actually an allegation that has existed for a long time that is only just now
People don't care.
starting to
Get
surface.
that?
She claims that not only were you fully aware of her age at the time, but someone even tried to stop you and you went ahead anyway.
There was a situation with Gabby Hanna at a playlist live where she pulled him aside and told him like, yo, she's 17. And then we still went and hooked up.
To be clear, 17 is under the age of consent in many states, including Florida, where Playlist Live used to take place. So this means that Tana Mojo is accusing you of statutory rape, and she's not trying to hide that.
This isn't just some crazy tea. It was a crime.
Remember how Tana said that fellow YouTuber Gabby Hanna tried to stop you before everything allegedly went down? Well, did you know that Gabby is actually on record telling the exact same story several years ago?
One time, I told a guy, I saw him making out with a girl at a party who was underage, and I pulled him aside and I was like, hey man, you probably don't know, I know she like looks a little older, she's underage, watch it. And he's like, oh my god, thank you for telling me. And then he turned on.
What? Okay.
This is really,
It's kind of worse.
really bad.
Really
He knows already. What?
bad indeed. Pardon my potty mouth here, but this is disgusting. Like, this
The accusation is true, of course.
is by far the most compelling piece of evidence presented, because this is a completely separate third-party individual coming forward now with the same story years ago, exactly how Tana described it. Finding this clip was huge. I don't even know how it was unearthed. Huge props for finding this ancient artifact, because apparently it had been
I ain't watching all that podcast.
scrubbed from like everywhere. I don't even know how you would have even gone about finding something like this, but I really think it is an important piece to this story. It's a very strong piece of evidence, and it should hopefully showcase that this isn't just something Tana is making up on the spot for attention or anything like that. This is something that has been talked about for years. There's a lot of comments that get shown in the video with people shitting on Tana for bringing this up, like, oh, this is prehistoric. Why would you ever bring this up now? You just want attention, you absolute
What?
harpy. Oh, who cares? This is bull. It's all a lie anyway. All you do is lie. Liar, liar, plants for hire. You harlot. Those kind of comments, like unhinged people about
Harlot?
this. And I really think that this Gabby Hanna clip that's been provided should shut that garbage down. Of course, it doesn't prove 100%, the authenticity of everything.
Yeah,
As
you need more evidence.
DAngeloWallace
And
also
just word for word in this.
explains, these are still allegations. But that is a pretty substantial piece of evidence there that should at least show why this needs to be talked about and should absolutely be addressed directly by Cody.
People make accusations all the time, specifically regarding things that are very difficult to prove or disprove, unfortunate as that may be. But when somebody makes an allegation and they say they have a witness, and that witness can be found telling the exact same story years before any of this came out, that's not something I can just ignore. In a situation that cannot be proven, corroboration by a third party goes a long way. I'm not accusing you of committing a crime, but even if what Tana says is false,
What they're what lying? Yeah, but think about that.
your silence is still grossly incompetent at best.
It really is a pretty bad strategy here. This isn't something John Madden would draw up in the
Yeah, we
playbook,
need to see some, I don't know, evidence.
burying his head in the sand
Text messages and all that
and
stuff.
hoping that the storm blows through. Doesn't exactly work in a situation like this. I mean, I guess it has up till this point, since so few people were aware of it. But now that it's being talked about more and more, I do think that he's going to need to come forward about all of it. There is quite a bit of time in the video dedicated to the community's response to the allegations, because it is bad how, like, viewers have responded to all of this. Basically, and it is a good point that DAngeloWallace made, because Tana Mojo is widely disliked by the broader YouTube audience, when she was the one putting these claims out there, people attacked her, like dogpiled her for saying things like this. Like they jumped on her like she had just, killed a puppy in front of them. Like, people responded to her in the worst possible way with these allegations. And Tana made a really good point where
Cody said nothing.
she said if this was any other YouTuber she was talking about, one that wasn't as highly regarded as Cody, the response would be completely different, where she'd be getting sympathetic messages and support for coming forward with her experience. But because it's Cody, it's been a biblical smackdown in the comments against her, which is just like a crazy response to something like this. I mean, there were some lunatics there, like genuinely hateful people saying like the most misogynistic shit you could find in the comment section about this because she dared come forward with her experience and talk about that situation. Now, again, yes, they are allegations. Nothing has been proven, but there is a lot of evidence here that should at the very least get a response from codyko about all of this.
Yeah,
and it's not like
and
he's
it
not
more.
aware of what's happening. As pointed out in this video, he is seemingly censoring his YouTube comment section.
And now you're choosing censorship. On your YouTube channel, where you've been pumping out content nearly every day now, I couldn't find a single comment on your last video about this situation. Not even one. Comparing that to the comment section on your Instagram, where every single comment I saw was about this, it's clear that you're heavily censoring your audience on YouTube.
I actually went and checked this
You can type new comments or
myself
something.
because this is a Lego build that you can follow along with at home. I went to his latest upload and clicked newest in the comment section because surely you'd see some now after this is being blown up into a huge story. But even when filtering on his newest upload
Can you do other uploads tab?
by newest
No, newer
comments,
upload.
I still only found a couple of comments that referenced this. So it really does seem like it's being heavily censored in the YouTube comments. Because with how big the story is, you would expect
Editor is working long
a lot
hours
of
then.
them, especially when you look at his Instagram. But somehow, nothing on YouTube? Yeah, that's very suspicious. That definitely smells like he is censoring the comments there. So it's not like he doesn't know what's going on here. Tana also said that he had reached out
Yeah,
at some
maybe it's just been a few hours. I don't know.
point kind of about this, saying like, are we good? So it's not something that he's just unaware of, and that's why he hasn't addressed it. DAngeloWallace also points out how he's responded to things in the past, like he paywalled an apology for like an old clip that surfaced where he was using a slur. So he's talking about like the history of responding poorly to situations that Cody finds himself in, and then he brought up this, which I'd never heard of.
Not many people know that you've already lost fans over an eerily similar topic. You used to frequently feature and promote your college friend Colby Leachman in your videos, until it came out that during your school days, Leachman's university put him on probation for, as a United States District Judge would later put it, the non-consensual videotaping of a sex act with another student, showing the
What?
video to other people, lying to the police about the video, and behaving horribly to that individual and at least one other woman. To make matters worse, the woman in the video also alleged that Leachman drugged her before the recording and that she hadn't actually consented to anything at all. You had this man in your videos. You were telling us to follow him on Instagram, and at some point you did
Maybe it was before the crime committed.
wise up, so he's no longer part of your content, but he still seems like he's very much a part of your friend group.
Oh, okay, that's bad.
From the continued hangout since then to inviting him to your
He's
wedding
still doing
just last year, people are under the impression that you're best friends with someone who, at best, committed an illegal sex act and at worst is an alleged. And no matter how many times people rediscover this information over the years, you refuse to say anything at all.
That is baffling to me. Like, it's one thing to be friends with someone who turns out to be a monster, but once you learn that they're a monster, that's where it should stop. I've said this before. If my best friend Matt
it.
turned
Still hang out.
out to have
Nice.
like a secret double life, you know, a Jekyll and Hyde situation where Matt goes out there and he does something truly heinous, I would cut them out of my life. I wouldn't be able to go forward being friends with someone like that. You know, giving him a fist bump saying, hey, we're still bubble buddies, bro. Like, I couldn't do that. So it's so weird to me that Cody can, and when people have talked about it in the past, apparently Cody has just ignored it. That is very, very odd.
I haven't seen a single channel over 1 million subscribers do so much as acknowledge that this situation exists. And I'm not talking about channels that never would have discussed something like this either. I mean the same channels that were rightfully calling out people like Dr. Disrespect for texting a minor, which are the same channels that are now completely ignoring a scenario with an even bigger creator being accused of doing something much worse.
DAngeloWallace makes a point a couple times in this video about the silence on this subject being staggering, considering in the YouTube ecosystem there's tons of commentary channels that'll cover a wide variety of topics, sometimes rumors, that aren't nearly this serious, you know, like a 2-part docuseries on that time Markiplier allegedly pooped without peeing. Or, in my case, I'll make a whole rant going over how aliens probably aren't visiting us via theoretical warp drives to haunt our boners. And yet, somehow, a story that's this serious just slips through the cracks and didn't have many people talking about it until very recently. So I'd like to at least take a quick moment here to explain why I hadn't covered it. Now, I did hear the whispers about this codyko allegation about a week ago now, where someone in stream chat had mentioned, hey, have you heard what codyko apparently did with Tana Mojo? And on stream I asked what they were talking about because I hadn't heard shit about that. Eventually another chatter explained that I could find more information about it on Reddit because a conversation was starting to develop around those allegations, so I made like a note of it and then went to bed. The following day I got home pretty late and then went to follow up on things from the previous night, because sometimes during stream I'll make like tabs about what people are telling me to look up. I don't do react content on stream or anything anymore, so if it's like a video that people are recommending I check out to get caught up on something
no
or
reaction,
whatever,
Andy.
I'll make a tab for that video and then watch it when I get back to the following day. And when it came to the codyko thing with the Reddit post, by the time I got to it, it was deleted. So I kind of assumed that maybe the claims were just baloney, and I didn't see a whole lot of chatter about it. I saw a couple of tweets that loosely talked around it, vaguely, and I just didn't look into it deeper than that. And I recognize now that that was a mistake, so I'm sorry for that. But I just didn't find a lot of information at the time, until, of course, last night when DAngeloWallace posted the video covering all of this. So I know the speculation has been made that the reason people aren't talking about the codyko situation is because he's a channel that a lot of people respect and is friends with a lot of the community. So no one wants to speak out against their friend or a channel that they respect so much, thus they're trying to help, bury it or not let it, erupt into the mainstream. For me, that wasn't the case. When I went looking for the info after that stream, I didn't find anything, and I didn't do a big enough dive on it to access it, so I just kind of stopped looking, which, again, was a mistake, clearly. I've talked about codyko's content in the past. I've liked his content. I respected him as a content creator, but I'd never say that we were friends or anything. I went on his podcast one time, and I think we only ever talked in
knowingly or unknowingly.
Twitter DMs once as well. We weren't exactly like inseparable friends, the best of pals and buddies or anything. Like I imagine if we walked by
Like stop saying to Dr. Disrespect
each other in a crowded mall, we'd do one of these to each other, and that'd probably be the end of it. This isn't some kind of story that I was avoiding or anything like that. I just truly didn't do enough digging on it because, as DAngeloWallace does mention, this story has been pretty successfully buried for the most part, where a lot of people just weren't aware of it, and I didn't do due diligence to become aware of it. But luckily, DAngeloWallace did, and created this great video going over all of it. So I wanted to talk about this because obviously it's a very serious situation. codyko absolutely should come forward to explain all of it, and if there is another side to this story, tell it. If it's wrong, set the record straight. It's a very upsetting story here that at the very least needs to be addressed by Cody.
And the comment moderator is kind of insane.
Publicly. This can't be another paywalled apology situation or
I don't think he can do it forever.
anything like that. This should definitely be something that he comes forward and actually talks about. So
Yeah, if he doesn't come forward, then people will just, I don't know, they'll just forget about everything that happened. Maybe it's a strategy he's playing.
that's really about it.